Mickey 17 is directed by Bong Joon-ho in his first movie since Parasite in 2019. As I'm sure all of you know, that was a very popular movie and one of the most prominent Best Picture winners of the 21st century. It was a phenomenal movie, and so naturally there was a lot of hype and anticipation that was surrounding this new project. And here we follow Mickey Barnes, played by Robert Pattinson, a man who is looking for a second lease at life because things aren't going particularly well. He eventually becomes part of an off-world mission which involves him being an expendable. Essentially, this means he gets to do a lot of jobs that will likely get him killed, but every time that happens, they will print out a new body for him and the work will continue, and it's happened now to the point that there is the 17th iteration of Mickey. And he has to deal with some very insane stuff now because it turns out another copy of Mickey is also existing at the same time, and a lot of chaos ensues as a result of that. I was also, like I said, very excited for this movie, but this is also not the first time that Bong Joon-ho has gone into trying to make a sci-fi epic. Movies like Snowpiercer and even to a degree Okja had those kinds of elements to it, and those were very successful movies. I think he did a great job with those. And so going into Mickey 17, there's a lot of different aspects that he builds upon which were, brought up a bit in those movies as well, but also creating a very interesting tale around it. And what you get with Mickey 17 is a thoroughly fascinating movie. There are aspects over here that even with this blockbuster budget that Bong Joon-ho has with this movie, there are things that he is doing that have become staples of his work. I'll talk more about that in a bit, but first I want to start off with the fact that this is a visually spectacular movie. Terrific CGI, and there's some incredible moments in here that are visually remarkable. There was a lot of seamlessness to the fact, there was never a point while watching, and I saw this in IMAX, mind you, where I thought, oh, the CGI looks off over here. That never happened. This is a very well crafted movie, and the production of it, the cinematography, of course, all the technical aspects of it are excellent. There's some incredible sound design to it as well. A great score from Jung Jae-il, who is one of those great composers. Every single time he comes to the foray, he does an incredible job with the music. He just did a very good job with Squid Game Season 2 as well. And so, once again, the score knocks it out of the park. Robert Pattinson is fantastic in this movie as Mickey 17 and also the other version of Mickey over there. And they're both completely different Mickeys. There is a vast difference of character between them. One of them is a lot more nervous, and he doesn't really always know, how to handle certain things, and so he ends up in a lot of bizarre situations as a result. And as the movie goes on, that continues to happen. Meanwhile, this other version of Mickey is someone who is a little more on the surer side of things, who seems to think this version of Mickey, the other one, is kind of a wimp. And so the two of them have this very interesting back and forth dynamic, and Pattinson plays those two versions very well. There's also a level of surprising physical comedy to a lot of it. There is so much physicality to the role in itself because of all the crazy things that happen. But even in a couple of scenes, he has to make these almost Charlie Chaplin-like movements, and he does incredibly at those moments. It is really a testament to how good he is as an actor. Also really good in this movie is Naomi Aki. She is someone Mickey is interested in, and they both fall in love almost immediately. They're both there for each other, and as the movie goes on, she's very good in it, and she has a really great rapport with Mickey throughout the entire thing, even as the situation gets more and more bizarre and weird. Steven Yeun as Timo, who plays Mickey's friend. He's also really good in the movie. But the roles I really want to talk about also are Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette. Mark Ruffalo plays Kenneth Marshall, who is this guy running all of the stuff that's going on, and he plays just the most conceited, crazy guy who you could possibly imagine playing. Every Bong Joon-ho movie has that one guy on the top who is very much a representation of the stuff in the movie that's supposed to be wrong. Which kind of brings me to what I want to talk about regarding Bong Joon-ho and the way he tells stories. Oftentimes he hones in on themes of people who are at the top looking down on those below. And there is a certain sense of elitism to them that, just makes everybody else look like, well, expendable, as the movie showcases. It's not subtle in any way. He very blatantly makes it clear that he wants these themes to come across as he's making his movies. And oftentimes they've led to some really great narratives. I mean, look at Parasite. It was very clear in what it was trying to showcase, and it did so in a very effective way. And between Ruffalo as Marshall and Toni Collette, who plays his wife Ilfa, both of them are these just, depraved megalomaniacs who are making things happen in the most just grotesque manners. But to them, it just feels normal. Like, there's never a sense to the fact that everybody else is also a human being. There's just the selfishness to them that comes through. And again, that's just a testament to the fact that, once again, a lot of this movie tackles that aspect of it. And I think as the movie progresses, while it's tackling those themes, the idea of, how humanity responds to the world around it when it comes to caring for it, or again, seeing everything around and trying to, immediately assess something as it being wrong or a threat. And even having characters in this movie often dealing with this idea of self-doubt, or, trying to get over their demons and to try and rise up to everything like that. There's, again, so much of that infused in here, and once again, a lot of those swings do land as they have before in a lot of his other efforts. But I will say that in this movie, it tends to overstretch itself a little bit. There are so many things that it wants to address, and there are so many issues that it wants to tackle. And by the time you get to the end of the movie, there are some things that may or may not feel like they get the kind of conclusion that they should. There's a couple of aspects in particular that they try to connect to the broader narrative that's taking place, and some of it doesn't really come around as well as it could, I think. There's one thing in particular that, really they feels shafted. And I think a lot of that also has to do with trying to really build a bigger world out of the story that it's telling. And even when it comes to other aspects that are going on that we don't really get to see a lot of. Sometimes there are things mentioned about characters and stuff that's going on with them, whether it's on the side or something that is implied. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that developed. But make no mistake, I think Mickey 17 is still a very solid movie. There are certain things that like I said, I would have liked a little bit more of as it was approaching the finish line. But despite that, by the end of the movie, I was quite happy with it. And I do think it is worth checking out. And while I don't think it's, the best Bong Joon-ho movie, a really good Bong Joon-ho movie is still a really good Bong Joon-ho movie. So I still think it is worth seeking out. I'm going to give Mickey 17 an 8 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think of Mickey 17. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on the movie as well. Like I said, may or may not work for everybody, but I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.